Hello students, today we'll be starting with part 4 of chapter number 6, that is life processes. Yes, so today we are going to deal with nutrition in the human beings. In the last part, that is in the part 3, we have already seen about nutrition in amoeba, and so on. In the continuity, we are going to see the process of nutrition in human beings, and for that we'll be studying the process of digestion. Once the food is digested, then and then only the human beings can get the nutrients. Yes, and therefore today we are going to study nutrition in human beings. So here, if we talk of the human beings, they follow which mode of nutrition that we have already started, that is the holozoic mode of nutrition, wherein they take in the solid food material inside the body. Yes, after taking the solid form of food inside their body, they follow the basic steps, such as that is the very first one, taking the food inside the body, that is ingestion, breaking down that food material, that is digestion. Once the food has been broken down, they follow the next step, that is absorption. Yes, the digested food is absorbed inside the body. Then on, the digested food goes to each and every cell, and wherein from the digested food they release the energy by the process of respiration. Yes, so that is assimilation, and the leftover food material, the undigested food material, goes out of the body by the process of egestion. Yes, we have already seen this, that is ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion process in amoeba, and so on. We are going to see all the steps in human beings too. Yes, so we shall start with the digestive system of the human beings, or the process of nutrition in the human beings. Yes, now here, talking about the digestive system of the human beings. This digestive system in the human beings is a complex system. Why it is a complex system? Yes, we all know that we belong to the multicellular group of organism. Yes, we are multicellular in nature, and therefore we do not take the food only by simple process of diffusion. We are not single cell, and therefore we have complex system wherein the food is being broken down. And yes, the digestive system of the human beings is further divided into two, or can be broadly classified into two different parts, that is the alimentary canal and the digestive glands. The alimentary canal along with the digestive glands helps in the process of digestion. Yes, so we shall understand what is basically the alimentary canal and which are the digestive glands and what is their role, what is their function. Yes, so we shall start with the alimentary canal. Yes, so the digestive system is divided into two parts, that is it could be broadly grouped into two, that is alimentary canal and the digestive glands. Talking about the alimentary canal, it is a 9-meter long path which includes the various organs which helps in the process of digestion. Yes, so talking about the alimentary canal, which runs from mouth to the anus. Yes, it runs from mouth to the anus, and it includes various organs, such as the very first one will be mouth, then we have the food pipe, that is esophagus, then we have the next organ, that is stomach, then we have small intestine, the next one is large intestine, and the last one is anus. So talking about this alimentary canal, if we can see in this diagram over here, wherein, yes, can you see the alimentary canal that runs from, yes, the very first one is mouth. Yes, moving ahead, the mouth leads to a tube-like structure which is nothing but the esophagus. Yes. Then moving on to the next part, that is nothing but the esophagus leads to, yes, this is termed to be as stomach. Then the stomach leads to, can you see the figure which is colored with yellow? Yes, so that is nothing but the small intestine. Yes, moving on to the next one, the small intestine leads to the structure which is drawn orange, which is colored orange, and that is nothing but the large intestine. And the large intestine leads to the last organ or the last part from where the undigested food gets out of the body, and that is nothing but the anus. So if we talk of this alimentary canal, the alimentary canal is a long tube from mouth to anus. Yes, so from mouth to anus, the tube from mouth to anus, the tube is termed to be as the alimentary canal. So which are the organs? We shall revise it. That is mouth. Mouth leads to esophagus. The esophagus leads to stomach. The stomach leads to small intestine, and the small intestine leads to the large intestine, which in turn meets the last part, that is anus. So here, what do you mean by alimentary canal? That is nothing but a long tube from mouth to anus, and it includes the organs such as mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. Yes, so have you understood alimentary canal? So these are the organs which helps in the process of digestion, or from the food passes. Yes, during the process of digestion. Now, not only the alimentary canal, along with the alimentary canal are various glands. Yes, so what are glands? Glands are various organs which secrete various materials, which produces various materials, which produces various enzymes, so that it can help in the process of digestion. So the digestive gland produces various forms of secretions for what? For breaking down of the complex food material into simpler form, so that it can be absorbed inside our body. Yes, so what all glands are included in the digestive parts? There are many glands inside our body, but there are few glands which helps in the process of digestion, and it includes the salivary glands. Yes, so talking about the salivary gland, where it is present in the mouth. So we can write over here, that is the mouth includes the salivary gland. Okay, so moving on to the next one, that is liver, the next gland which helps in the process of digestion. That is nothing but, can you see exactly beside the stomach? That is nothing, that is liver. Okay, and the next one, that is pancreas. So can you see over here the one which is in green? Yes, that is nothing but the pancreas. Fine. And the last one, that is the gastric glands. So the gastric glands are located within the stomach, so we will write over here gastric glands. Fine. So there are various glands in the digestive system, which helps in the process of digestion, which includes the salivary gland, the very first one. Then inside the stomach we have the gastric glands. Then we have the liver as the third gland, and the last one is nothing but the pancreas. Do you understand this? Yes, fine. So basically, talking about the digestive system is divided into two, that is alimentary canal and the digestive gland. It could be broadly classified as alimentary canal and digestive gland. What is alimentary canal? That is, it is nothing but it is a long tube from mouth to the anus, which includes various organs. Talking about the digestive glands, so the glands are the organs which helps in some kind of secretions, and this secretion helps in breaking down of the complex food. And which all glands are included? The salivary gland, the liver, the pancreas, and the gastric glands. So is it clear? And therefore we shall start with the first organ of the digestive system, that is nothing but the mouth. Yes? Talking about the very first organ of the digestive system, that is mouth. So all of you can see the mouth. and we all know about the mouth. That is what its main function is. That is, the complex food is broken down into small pieces. Yes, the very first thing, that is, whensoever we keep the food inside our mouth, the very first thing it start doing is breaking down into simpler pieces, simpler molecules, and that is termed to, with the help of the part which is present inside the mouth, that is with the help of the teeth. Yes, we have different forms of teeth for breaking down various food. Yes, now here, what is the main function of the teeth is, that is, as you can see, that is mastication. Mastication is nothing but, basically we call it as chewing, the chewing of the food, the breaking down of the food into simpler processes. So the mouth contains what, that is, if we talk of the mouth, as you can see, the mouth has a cavity, the open space like structure. Can you see, if this is the mouth, then this is what is termed to be as the cavity. Now in this buccal cavity, this is termed to be as which cavity? So the vacant space inside the mouth is termed to be as cavity, that is buccal cavity. Now this buccal cavity, as you all know, that is our mouth has two different parts, that is the tongue and the teeth. Yes, all of us know that inside our mouth we have vacant space which is termed to be as buccal cavity, and this cavity consists of teeth and tongue. Yes, so we have already studied about the function of the teeth, that is breaking down the food into simpler pieces, and similarly we do have the function of the tongue. Yes, can you see over here? So what is the function of the tongue? It has various receptors which are termed to be as the taste receptors or the taste buds, which can identify various tastes such as sweet, sour, bitter, and so on. Yes, that all of us know. And it also helps to mix the saliva with the food. Yes, all of us also know about saliva. So that is, the tongue helps to mix the saliva with the food that we have taken inside our body. Yes, so the mouth basically consists of what? The cavity, and the cavity consists of teeth and tongue. Yes, now the teeth is used for the process of chewing, and the tongue is used to mix the saliva with the food. Okay, fine. Now here, talking about the mouth, as we have seen over here, that mouth also possesses a gland. Which gland? Yes, salivary glands. Now talking about this very important gland, what does this do? So talking about the salivary gland, this salivary gland secretes, glands always do the process of secretion. And what is this salivary gland secreting? That is saliva. So we all know, whensoever we see some food that we crave for, that we like, so immediately something gets secreted inside our mouth, the watery substance that gets secreted inside our mouth, that is nothing but the saliva, which is being secreted by the salivary glands. Do you understand this? Yes. Now what is the function of this saliva? Saliva is watery, and therefore what does it do? It wets the food for further passage. It wets the food. જે બી food હોય એને શું કરી નાખે? ભીનું કરી દે. So what will happen? That food can move ahead. That is ahead in the form from mouth to the esophagus to the stomach. If the food is not wetted over here inside the mouth, it will not be able to pass to these pipes. Yes, do you understand this? So basically the very first function of saliva is wetting up the food. What is the function? Wetting up the food. The next thing is very important to understand, that is, yes, saliva, that is the watery secretion inside our mouth, it contains an enzyme. It contains what? It contains an enzyme, and the name of the enzyme is nothing but amylase. What is the name of that enzyme? Yes, amylase. Now here, what is the function of this amylase? Do you understand? That is, yes, this amylase acts on the starch. For example, if we have taken rice in our diet, the rice is what? Carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, as in the term, it is starch. It is starch in nature. Now this starch cannot be digested directly. For example, this starch is a long chain of many glucose. Now this long chain of starch cannot be absorbed by our body directly, and therefore the starch has to be broken down into simpler. That is, all the glucose molecules have to get separated, and that is why in our mouth the saliva is secreted, which contains the enzyme amylase. This amylase, as soon as it detects the presence of the starch, it detects the presence of carbohydrate in our food, it reacts with the carbohydrate and it breaks down the starch molecule into maltose. Maltose, as in the starch is broken down into, that is, glucose and glucose, again glucose and glucose. Do you understand this? That is two molecules of glucose, that is termed to be as maltose. Do you understand this? That is, what is the function of the amylase? What is starch actually? Starch is a very long chain of glucose, and what is the function of this amylase? It will break down this long chain into disaccharides, into two molecules of glucose, that is glucose and glucose, glucose and glucose, glucose and glucose. So already it is at one step broken down into a simpler molecule, that is from starch to maltose. Do you understand this? So what is the main function of this amylase? Amylase has the function of breaking down of the starch into maltose. What is maltose? Maltose is nothing but that is two molecules of glucose. Barabar. What is starch? It is a long chain of glucose. And what is maltose? That is only two molecules of glucose. So this is already broken down into our mouth. The starch is already broken down into maltose in our mouth itself. Now, what is the next function of this saliva is? It mixes the food. Yes, it is watery, and therefore it mixes whole of the food to form bolus. Bolus, that is what? It is nothing but the soft ball of food. It is nothing but what? A soft ball of food. So that soft ball of food can be swallowed to the esophagus. જે આપણે lame language માં that we tell to be as a cordio. That is, if we have taken a chapati, a piece of chapati is been chewed with the help of the teeth, then the tongue mixes it with saliva, then the salivary glands secretes what? Saliva. The saliva contains amylase, and the amylase act on the starch, and the starch does the process of breaking down the amylase does the function of breaking down the starch into simple amylase, that is simple maltose. Do you understand this? Now, and the bolus is formed, so that this bolus can move down the esophagus and to the rest part of the digestive system. Do you understand this? Now one more time we shall recall the mouth. So here from the diagram itself, the mouth is covered with, that is, it is covered with lips, and inside, that is what is present inside the mouth, that is, it is nothing but it has vacant space, that is cavity, and the cavity is termed to be as buccal cavity. The buccal cavity consists of teeth and tongue. So basically, what is the function of the teeth? That is mastication or chewing, breaking down the food into small pieces. What is the function of the tongue? It has taste receptors so that we can taste everything, and it helps to mix the saliva with the food. So these are the basic function of teeth and tongue. Now talking about the mouth, mouth also has important gland termed to be as the salivary gland. Salivary gland secretes the saliva. Yes, very good. That is, salivary glands secretes saliva. Saliva contains an enzyme which is termed to be as amylase. It secretes an enzyme which is termed to be as amylase. And what does this amylase do? The amylase acts on the starch in our food, not on any other thing, not on proteins, not on fats, but we are talking about only carbohydrates. The amylase act on carbohydrates. Starch is a form of carbohydrate. So the amylase will act on the starch or carbohydrate and convert it to maltose, that is two molecules of glucose. Do you understand this? Yes. Now here the starch is digested partially. Moving on to the next part of the digestive system, that is nothing but the esophagus. Do you understand this? Yes. So we shall now talk about the next part, that is the esophagus. Yes. Before talking about esophagus, we shall talk about the epiglottis. What is basically the epiglottis? Now, it is a flap at the beginning of the larynx. Larynx, that is nothing but our voice box. What it is? It is our voice box. So it is a flap like structure which opens and closes, which opens and which closes. So now it is a flap which opens, closes, and it is present on the larynx. It is present on our voice box. So it closes the opening of the larynx. It is present exactly about the larynx here. And it closes the opening of the larynx. This is suppose say epiglottis. It closes the opening of the larynx so that what will happen? The food will not enter into the larynx, but the food will enter into the esophagus. Do you understand this? Yes. What will happen? The food will enter into the esophagus and not into the voice box. Do you understand this? So what is epiglottis? Epiglottis is nothing but a covering which helps to close the voice box, which helps to so that the food which is coming from the mouth do not enter into the voice box, which is exactly besides the esophagus, and helps in entering of the food only in the food pipe. The esophagus also termed to be as the food pipe. Do you understand this? Yes. So now we shall be talking about nothing but the esophagus. Now here talking about the esophagus, which is also termed to be as the food pipe. Now here what it is? It connects the buccal cavity to the stomach. Yes, as we can see in the diagram, it connects the buccal cavity with the stomach. So something like this. It is connecting the mouth with the stomach. So this is nothing but the esophagus, or we also call it as food pipe. Yes, do you understand this? So here esophagus, very commonly termed to be as food pipe. It connects the mouth with the stomach. It is a passage which connects the mouth to the stomach, and here no digestion takes place. No kind of digestion takes place over here. It only has the function to move the food material from the mouth till the stomach. Yes, and it performs a very important movement that is termed to be as the peristaltic movement. Which movement? Peristaltic movement. What is peristaltic movement? That is continuous contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. Contraction and relaxation of this pipe will help the food. Suppose the food that is the bolus is present over here. So what will happen? This will, now the part over here will contract, this will relax, and therefore the bolus will move downwards. Now this will contract and the further part will relax. So continuous contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation, and continuous contraction, relaxation of this pipe will help in the movement of the food from the mouth till the stomach. Do you understand this? And that is termed to be as peristalsis. It is termed to be as peristaltic movement, or it is termed to be as peristalsis. Now how does this movement take place? The movement takes place with the help of the muscles. There are muscles in the wall of the esophagus. The wall of the esophagus have circular muscles, and these muscles do contraction, contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation, which will in turn help the food material to move ahead from the mouth till the stomach region. Do you understand this? Now, yes, we shall understand this in the later part of the chapter. Now here, from the esophagus, it leads to the very important organ of our body that is termed to be as nothing but the stomach. So again in the diagram we can see from the mouth, the next organ is esophagus. From the esophagus, it will lead us to a very important part that is stomach. So we shall now understand the next part that is termed to be as the stomach. Now here, stomach is nothing but a bag. It is a bag. Now, a muscular bag. Its wall is made up of 4 different kind of muscles and therefore termed to be as the muscular bag. Which bag? A stomach is muscular bag or J-shaped bag. It is also termed to be as a J-shaped bag. Can you see over here in the diagram? Yes. Now, talking about stomach, the stomach is basically divided into 3 parts. The cardiac stomach, the fundus and the pyloric stomach. Yes, so over here in the diagram, can we see the different parts of the stomach? So over here, this is the ending of the esophagus. The esophagus is leading us to stomach. Now, the very first part, this is nothing but termed to be as the fundus region of the stomach. This is termed to be as the cardiac region of the stomach. And the last one is termed to be as the pyloric stomach. Yes, and this is nothing but the stomach is leading to the next part, that is the intestine, the very first part of the small intestine that we'll be studying in the later part of the chapter. So over here we shall be writing it as small intestine. Yes. So basically, the stomach is a muscular bag or a J-shaped bag which is divided into cardiac stomach, the fundus and the pyloric stomach. Now talking about this opening of the stomach. Now here, from the esophagus, the food is coming from the esophagus. Yes, the food from the esophagus, the food enters into the stomach. Now, not every time whatsoever you eat can come inside the stomach. So, therefore, over here at the very first beginning of the stomach, we have a sphincter. A sphincter. A sphincter is nothing but a valve-like structure which helps in the entry and exit of the food material, which opens and closes. Yes, so what happens? The food from the esophagus will enter into the stomach with the help of cardiac sphincter. Whensoever the cardiac sphincter over here is open, the cardiac sphincter over here is open, the food can enter inside the stomach. Yes, and this cardiac sphincter also regulates the backflow, the prevent of the backflow. That is, once the food has already reached into the stomach, it will not be flown back. It will not go back to the esophagus. Do you understand this? So that happens with the help of the valve or a sphincter. That is, those are nothing, basically the valve, the openings, that is the cardiac sphincter. Similarly, at the end of the stomach, we have another valve or a structure or a gate-like thing which do not allow the food to every time get inside the small intestine. The food remains in the stomach for certain span of time, wherein it has to go through various process, and therefore whatsoever food that has come from the esophagus will stay inside the stomach for some span of time, and then on which will not directly get inside from the stomach to the small intestine, and therefore at the ending of the stomach we also have another valve, which is, or a gate like structure, which is termed to be as the pyloric sphincter. Fine. Now talking about, so have we understood the various parts of the stomach? That is, it is nothing but this curved part, that is fundus, the main part of the stomach, that is the cardiac stomach, and the end part of the stomach, which is narrower, and it is termed to be as the pyloric stomach. Yes. Now talking about the functions of the stomach. Yes, talking about the functions of the stomach stores the food for almost 3 to 4 hours, we can say. That is for 3 to 4 hours. Yes. Now, what is the next thing that the stomach do? What is the next function? It churns the food. Churning, that is mixing the food. It also performs the peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement as in continuous contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. The walls of the stomach also do contraction, relaxation. Yes. So therefore, the food which is present inside the stomach, will be churned, will be mixed. Yes. So it churns the food and it helps in forming smaller particles, as in the mixture. Because of the churning, the bigger particles gets converted into smaller particles, and similarly because of continuous churning, continuous mixing, the food gets converted into smaller particles. And what will the next thing that it's going to do when it is mixing? Suppose if there is in the mixture we have added something along with the water, so because of the churning it will get thoroughly mixed with the water. And similarly from the wall of the stomach, can you see over here? Yes, as we have already stated, the wall of the stomach also have glands known as the gastric glands, and this gastric glands also secrete something. It also produces some form of secretion, and this secretion mixes along with the food. That secretion is termed to be as the gastric juice. Yes, the secretion from the mouth is saliva. Yes, similarly the secretion from the stomach is the gastric juice. So what is the main function of the stomach? It stores the food, it churns the food, mixes the food with the gastric juices. Yes, mixes the food with the various forms of gastric juices. Yes. Now the next function we have already talked about, that is the walls of the stomach secretes gastric juices. What does it secrete? Gastric juices. The walls of the stomach have gastric glands. Which glands? Gastric glands. So this wall of the stomach has gastric glands. What do they have? Gastric gland, and they secrete the gastric juices. Fine. Now, what are these gastric juices? What is being secreted from our stomach? Yes, so the gastric juices are what? It is a mixture of HCl acid, that is hydrochloric acid, mucus and pepsin. What is being secreted by the wall of the stomach? That is HCl, mucus and pepsin. So hopefully you have understood till now, and let me talk about this chyme. So what is basically chyme? Now once the food mixes with the saliva in the mouth and forms a bolus. When this bolus comes to stomach, inside the stomach, it mixes with various juices, that is the gastric juices, and then on the food is nothing but it is then termed to be as chyme. So once it is being mixed with the saliva and forms a bolus, that is a ball of food which will move ahead, it is termed to be as bolus. Similarly, this bolus gets mixed up with various gastric juices inside the stomach, and then on it is termed to be as nothing but the chyme. Fine. So this is just for information. So what is stomach? It is a muscular bag, a J-shaped bag. It is further divided into 3 different parts. That is the cardiac stomach, the fundus and the pyloric stomach. And what are the basic functions? It stores the food for 3 to 4 hours. It mixes the food. It breaks down the food. It mixes the food with various form of gastric juices. The stomach wall contains gastric glands. This gastric gland secretes gastric juices, and these juices are HCl acid, mucus and pepsin. So we shall understand about the different parts, the different function of all of this in part 5. So basically in this class we have understood about what are the various parts, what is alimentary canal, what are digestive glands, and we have started with mouth, esophagus and stomach, and we shall be continuing with the stomach in the next part. Until then, you have to draw thoroughly the structure of the human digestive system along with its labeling. Fine? And understand about mouth, alimentary canal, various digestive gland, and this much part for stomach. Thank you.